up? And welcome back to Opposites Attract Podcast. This is Sonja Ramirez, your girl, and I'm sitting next to
Miguel Ramirez.
What's up, everybody? How is your day?
How is your week?
How is your life?
Going. Make sure you guys go to our website, oppositesattractpodcast.com. When you guys go to our website, you'll see all the different ways that you can follow the show, you can support the podcast, how you can send us a message. And we'll tell you guys more about that later. But the best thing that you guys could do is to support the show is to share a clip, to like, to subscribe, comment. But yeah, share it with somebody. Also follow our new clips channel, Opposites Attract Podcast Clips. That's on YouTube. Everywhere else, it's still the same, but we just have a new separate clips channel on YouTube. And yeah, make sure you guys subscribe to that.
Yes. So our daughter is now a freshman, and she is going
freshman in high school
to
homecoming.
She's super excited.
I know. She came in here earlier when I was working on podcast stuff, and man, I just can't believe how big she looks.
She's been trying on dresses, my dresses that I have worn for galas in our previous business, and just
different events
right?
that
we've attended. And she's coming out, and I'm just trying to keep it together, seeing our little girl really turn into a little woman. And today I asked her to, just to grab me some hair ties and stuff, because I wanted to play with her hair a little bit. And so I got to experience that again with her. And then she walks into our bedroom and she has makeup on. And she doesn't normally wear makeup. She'll wear a little bit of mascara, but that's about it. And today she walked in while I was getting ready for the podcast, and she looked at me and I looked at her.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, holy smokes. Like, how fast the time goes by. And we have been pretty present to see like the different stages and, just the things that they've outgrown, the things that they get into, and being able to really just take in the time with them. But it goes by so fast.
No matter what. It just goes by quick, it seems.
Mm-hmm. And I had looked up, because I was looking at our podcast and the different topics that we've talked about and the name of our podcast. And I've heard people that listen to our podcast say it doesn't sound like you guys are very opposite. Like, it seems like you guys get along very well, and that you guys, understand each other. And I'm like, yes, and.
Right.
Because if you listen to previous podcasts, and I guess even now, if you really listen, you can hear the differences that we have, but they were more apparent
in the beginning.
Earlier, yes. In our episodes, because now we have learned to agree to disagree, and to respect where we are right now, and what things that we believe, things that we, just the things,
the way we see different experiences from the past, and like all kinds of stuff. It's changed a lot of different areas of our lives and different perspectives on stuff. And it's funny that you bring that up, because when I was saying that Audrey came down and she was all dressed up, and one of the things that I was working on this morning was the new description to the podcast. Mm-hmm. And because, like I mentioned on the last episode, I have the new podcast that's coming out, and and having this new podcast that's coming out is having me go back and look at a bunch of stuff that I haven't looked at in a long time for our podcast, because I set it up when we first started. You know what I mean? And now that I'm setting up the new podcast, I know how to set these things up better because we've been doing this for so much longer and we have more resources, more tools and all that stuff. So I'm setting it up the right way, kind of, or in a better way. And then at the same time, I'm going back and I'm updating all the new stuff from the podcast, from our podcast that we have right now. Right. And I was doing a new description, like working on a new description for the podcast. And let me see real quick. Yeah. So this after, and it's cool to have, like, to do a new description, because I'll just be honest about how I got the description. I use the AI. I use the chat GPT and I give it a bunch of details because that thing's going to write way better than I could write. Like, we've already messed with this stuff and talked about it on here. So I was like, let me give it all the details and see what type of a description it would give me for a show like that. And it said, welcome to the captivating world of Opposites Attract podcast, where the forces of love, laughter, and life's extraordinary moments collide in a thrilling collision of personalities. For 15 years, Miguel and Sonja have shared their unique journey, where their contrasting personalities fit together like puzzle pieces. This chemistry has not only nurtured their loving relationship, but has also empowered them to excel as parents to their 3 amazing children. In this exciting, exhilarating video podcast, Miguel and Sonja delve into the candid conversations about marriage, parenting, entrepreneurship, personal development, and the secrets to maintaining mental health and physical fitness. Through their real-life adventures, which encompass highs, lows, and invaluable lessons they've gathered along the way, they invite you to be part of their electrifying journey. Moreover, a significant facet of their story is how they strive to impart these essential life lessons to their kids. You know?
That's awesome. Mm-hmm.
And that's like after 250 episodes, that's after, but like you said, it's opposites attract, and we are opposite in a lot of different ways.
So I was going back to Clubhouse and becoming more familiar with that, because there was a point where you and I were on it and speaking, and we started like growing. I did. Anyways,
for
that
those
audience
of you that don't know what that is, Clubhouse is like this. It's like a live chat talking thing, right?
Yeah, it's super
and
cool.
There's like all different types of rooms about all types of different things, whatever you can imagine. I bet you there's fighting ones, there's relationship ones, there's business ones, and I guess like you could pre-record something and just play it at a certain time, but it's kind of like that chat rooms where people can go in and listen to whoever the speaker is, and you can switch them up and all that.
And you can also speak. So if like you raise your hand.
Yeah, you can create a room.
You can, Yeah. So I was looking because when I got that comment, you guys opposites attract. It sounds like you guys, are pretty much on the same page. Yeah. And so I did a bio in Clubhouse, and that's funny. You read that one, because I'm going to read this one. But it says, we are a couple that comes from similar backgrounds, but are polar opposites. We both came from broken homes. I grew up with a single mother, and my husband, Miguel Ramirez, grew up with a single father. Growing up in the projects, we had some experiences that could have taken us both on the wrong path, but instead we made the decisions to do the total opposite. Through trials and errors, we learned that our associations will help us or hurt us. We learned that leaders are readers, especially when you put the knowledge into activity. After our individual transformation, God decided that we must meet. And then it's about Opposites Attract podcast. Today we have been married for, it says 13. So this was 2 years ago when I created this, for 13 incredible years, and have 3 amazing, beautiful children. Some of our friends refer to us as a Mexican fairy tale, but this did not come without many challenges and obstacles. We have learned to agree to disagree and to always come from love and respect. Words can speak life or speak death. We have learned that we must continue to grow as a couple as well as individuals. We have learned to break free from shackles of debt and keeping up with the Joneses, and learn that keeping up with the Joneses isn't all that it's cracked up to be. Having self-discipline is true freedom, and healing begins with mindfulness and facing hard truths. In our mission here at Opposites Track Podcast, we share our lives with our listeners. We share our highest of highs and lowest of lows in hopes that we will inspire someone to keep fighting, keep dreaming, and keep pushing forward, because everything you have been looking for is within your grip. We always focus on bringing the best of the best experts and guests to help us all live the life that we were created to live and becoming our best self. And I wrote that.
You did write that. That was not AI. That was good, man.
You know, but we do have some similarities in how, you know, we grew up and the decisions that we've made.
We've always said that, like, on the most important things, we're pretty similar.
Which is parenting, finances.
Yeah.
Our communication wasn't always the greatest. We had to learn through many heartbreaks, you know, just.
And even though we're different, it doesn't mean that we don't agree that, like, there's a need for both, right?
What was the most challenging, like, being together? We've been together for 15 years. What would you say was the most challenging learning experience for you in our relationship?
I mean, I would have to say, like, the spirituality, religion, just because it's been going on for a long time. Like, it's still not that it's challenging, like it's difficult. It's just not over. But there's still more learning and more, you know. Yeah. But I wouldn't say it's, like, challenging. Or, like,
what about something that you learned about yourself that you did not realize in our relationship? Like, something that helped you to recognize.
I mean, I think the example that comes up most frequently is just kind of how things from the past, or the way we would see things as kids, like the example that we would give about relationships, you know, and about me leaving out of town, and how you were feeling about me leaving out of town, and then you were getting upset at me because, you know, it's kind of like you felt like I was leaving and you didn't know where I was going, or I mean, you knew where I was going, but you were insecure with me leaving. Yes. And then I was getting upset because I didn't really want to leave. I wanted to be home with the family. And it was just all, the reason that we were having so much trouble was all had to do with the story that we made up in our head and how we saw things from the past that weren't true, you know?
Yeah.
Or that we didn't realize were affecting us in that way.
Yeah. I would say, yeah, I would agree. I would agree, especially with the things that have come to light with me and learning more about who I am and my subconscious patterns. And how your limited beliefs play a huge role in your life. I mean, in every part of your life. Yeah. From communication, as a wife to a husband, as a mother, as a friend.
Yeah.
And being able to recognize why I do certain things or respond in a certain manner.
Yeah.
You know, like with the kids, the biggest one that I went through was my limited belief that
was a big one too. Yeah.
I wasn't smart enough. And because of that, I was so hard on Audrey because I wanted her to be better
at the things that we lacked confidence in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a big one.
And once I had that realization and that breakthrough, and I apologized to her and, talked about it, and then just let her be and realized that our job as parents is to allow our children to unfold, like allowing them to show us who they are versus us raising them with the fear and the false beliefs that we have about ourselves.
Yeah. No, I was just telling Joey something yesterday, and I can't remember exactly what it was or what we were talking about. It might have had something to do with like some type of politics or taxes or something. I don't know, but I think I gave an explanation that like they use the money for this and they do this or they do that. And I was like, but I really don't know. Like, I'm not sure. I was like, and I could be completely wrong. And I just left it at that. I'm like, I mean, that's what I think, but I was like, I could also be completely wrong. And there's a lot of times when I'll tell him stuff like that. And I guess over the last few years or whatever, like that is something that I'll say a lot because that is how I feel. It's like, I don't fucking know everything, and there are a lot of people that know more about, and what is wrong with not knowing something?
Right.
There is nothing wrong with not knowing, but yeah, some people are very, like, they have strong convictions about stuff, about things that they don't really know that much about. Like maybe like taxes is a good one. Kind of like I said, it's like, oh, they do this and they do that. And it's like, well, do you really know?
Mm-hmm.
We have a good idea that maybe our money is wasted. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But do you really know what happens? So there's a lot of things in life that I think are like that. So I tell him that, look it up for yourself.
And having those strong convictions or beliefs also is what causes separation in the world. To not.
Yeah. It's funny that you start the podcast by bringing up opposites attract and the balance of things. And that's another thing. Like we've talked about it. There has to be a balance because when you don't have a balance, then you just can't even talk to each other. But then at a certain point, it's like, what the hell are we talking about here? And I think there's different examples of, stuff like that that's happened in society,
Mm-hmm. I was looking up in just the difference between judgment and discernment.
Okay.
Because I always, when I'm especially lately talking to Audrey, I'm like, baby, you're judging them. Like, like you're judging her.
Yeah.
You don't know what she's been through. She's like, yeah, but I've offered and I've been there to talk to her. She thinks she's a little coach. So she's like,
she needs to chill,
and so having the difference, like judging someone for what they did or what they're saying, discernment, the difference is knowing their heart and and knowing that no one is perfect and that we all make mistakes. And being able to love them where they're at. But if it's someone who is toxic, like someone that like is not good for you, there's evidence of that.
Yeah.
But it's still being able to love them where they're at, like have love, For me, it comes easy. For some, it does not. But when you realize that we are all like doing our best, and who am I to judge them? Because I don't know them. I don't know what they've been through. But I was talking to her, just about judgment versus, discernment. And it's a fine line between the two. But judgment is what causes division.
Yeah. There is a fine line. Yeah. It's just, it's I don't know. It always reminds me of these difficult topics, and I don't want to like keep bringing them up because it's just what you hear about in the news and a lot of different things. But yeah, it's but even if it's discernment, if you're discerning something that, like, somebody's telling you something and it's not really a judgment, but your discernment from what they're saying is their way of thinking is fucked up, then what do you do?
Is that discernment or is that judgment?
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying? I'm just like...
That's the balance.
Yeah.
But the thing is that when you just allow everything, then we head down some very, very hard times. This is what we talk about all the time.
Yeah. I was talking to a friend about this because it is mind-boggling when you start looking at the two. Like, is this for me? Is this not for me? And she's like, how does it make you feel? Do you feel that it's for you? And a lot of times it may not be for you, but it's for you. Do you understand? Because a lot of things we go through, sometimes there's a lesson, there's a challenge, there's something there that you need to learn. Therefore, you'll go through that challenge.
So then in the beginning of your statement right now, you said, how does this make me feel?
Mm-hmm.
Who gives a shit how it makes you feel? Because there's a lot of times where, you know how working out makes me feel? You know how it makes me feel?
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I fucking think about it. That's me when I start thinking about a workout. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But who gives a shit about how it makes me feel? Is it good or is it bad? It's good. Go do it. There's so much that gets put into these feelings. And sometimes it's just more go do. Go do it. Stop fucking feeling, stop thinking.
Oh, yeah. And it depends on what it is.
Yeah. The more you start doing the things that are good for you and you stop feeling whether it hurts or whether it's uncomfortable or whether it doesn't taste good or whatever, the more you stay on the path of just doing, little by little things start changing. And then maybe that starts also creating motivation to keep doing. But fuck, man, you don't feel like doing, especially if you've ever started a diet or a fucking workout or like starting from zero, where start running and let me know how that fucking feels. Start running from nothing.
Well, those are all good for you.
But how does it feel? And how does it,
right.
and how do you feel when you think about the next one?
Right. But it's all good for you. And
Exactly.
You know that. Like, we all know that. That's just something, that's having the self-discipline to do the thing even when you don't want to do it. That's
Yeah, you don't like those feelings. Or feeling alone and not with the person that you're with, even though they're abusive. That doesn't feel good to feel, to have the feeling of sitting in an apartment by yourself. That doesn't feel good.
right.
But that might be what you need.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that you know the things that are good for you. Just do those things. Eventually, the feelings start changing too. You start feeling better when you do good things. Everything starts feeling different. Doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We put a lot of stock into like feelings all the time. And like I said, maybe we need you need a balance of
Well,
stuff.
most people are not attached to their emotions because they don't like the way certain things feel. So they disconnect. Versus questioning,
But aren't they-
where is this coming from?
Aren't they related?
But we're talking two different things. You're talking about things that are good for you,
Yeah.
right? We all know those are the things that it's hard. It's all that part of self-disciplining or self-discipline. It's growth.
Yeah.
Where I was talking about things that have happened that you have to face in order to release, to let go. And it is a fine line because we don't like to feel that way. We avoid that.
Yeah.
You know, whether someone was abused or somebody was, molested or somebody was,
Yeah.
Bullied as a child, whatever that is, those feelings we don't like to feel, therefore we avoid.
Yeah.
And the only way to release that is to question why you're feeling a certain way. You can't just shove it down you can, but it's going to keep popping up.
Not even in that situation. There's those feelings. But what is the feeling? You're having a feeling about not wanting to do that because this is what's going to happen if I start unpacking this shit. That's the feeling that you're having. And what I'm saying is stop thinking about what you're feeling and start fucking doing. Because the longer you wait sitting around feeling when you should be doing, like you're saying, we're saying the same thing. You're fucking wasting time.
Yeah.
And it kind of leads into something that I had written down for this podcast and something that we were talking about last week, like how I was saying, like, I'm already like half dead, right? And then if between 70 and 80, those may not be the best years. So I probably only have 30 years left. And I mean, that's for me. Some people might be 50 or 60 or whatever, or younger. Mm-hmm. But if I only have 30 years left, like how much of this life am I going to keep living dealing with all this fucking shit?
Yeah.
Dealing with the baggage of all the fucking trauma that I've had in my life. Being in debt. Having to fucking just scrape by paycheck to paycheck. Like having shitty relationships in my life. Toxic people around me. Like, when is this shit gonna fucking change? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You have to, and the clock is ticking. Mm-hmm. And that's why I kind of, like I say, like, you have to do something. Like, you have to, like, the way, I don't know, maybe that's just one of those things where I say all the time, people are just different. And for some people, maybe you do need more emotions and you need to sit down and get the feelings and figure out and all that. And for somebody like me to get on a fucking roll, you have to go and start piling up win after win after win after win. And then that will start maybe changing your emotions and how you feel better and how you feel about yourself. Yes. And unveiling some of the things that you're capable of. Like, I don't know, maybe people are different. And that's what works for me. But the longer it takes to finally wake up and just start doing these things.
It is that simple.
Yeah.
It is that simple. Making a decision to let it go. It is that with my clients. They come to me because they're ready to release, to let go. Yeah. So I take them through that process.
Yeah.
But I take them through the process of feeling it.
Yeah.
Then releasing it. But it's because they're ready to do that. And some just want to hold on.
Right.
It's crazy. I offered a free session to someone. And she was like, I'm going to have to pass. I'm not ready to go there yet. And that's okay.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
See, I think maybe, that is true. And some people will just be like, you know what? Now's the time. I need to call and talk to Sonja about some stuff. And that's how it works for them. I think what's that? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's kind of, we talk about this because this was a major leap in our relationship when you started traveling and I started to feel the insecurity and we were having that conversation in the room. And I heard, this isn't about him. This is about your dad. Go heal that relationship.
Yeah.
It's time to forgive your dad. And I was ready to do so.
Had you started coaching yet?
No,
that was before. That was way before.
That was way before.
Yeah. Yeah, you see, but
I was ready to release. I was ready to forgive.
Yeah.
I was ready to let go.
Right. And I think that maybe that's one way. Like you were building yourself up to that, right? And then you call a coach, or kind of like when the person that you said, maybe they're just not ready at this time. And when they are ready, they'll call you. Mm-hmm. I think maybe what I've done here recently is a little bit different. It's maybe kind of like a little bit of a hack. I don't know. But I'll share it with you guys here in a moment. After you guys go to our website, oppositesattractpodcast.com. When you guys go there, like I said before, you guys can find all the ways that you can follow the podcast. You can follow us on all of our social media at Opposite Pod, or you can just search Opposites Attract Podcast, and you can find us that way. Also, make sure you guys follow our Clips channel on YouTube, Opposites Attract Podcast Clips. The logo looks just like the logo that we have now that you see here, but it has the red outline and it says Clips across it, and it's better just to kind of keep the clips and the podcast all separated. But you guys can follow that channel. And also, when you go to our website, you can see how you can support the show by clicking the Support the Show tab. That'll take you to our Amazon link. And anything that you purchase through that link doesn't cost you anything extra, but it helps out the show. And you can also help us out by going to buymeacoffee.com/oppositepod and purchasing us a coffee or an alcohol beverage. Yep. You can get us a virtual drink at buymeacoffee.com/oppositepod. And what else? You guys can send us a message or give us a call on our send us a message on the website by clicking contact us, or give us a call. You can leave us a message. You can send us a question. Let us know how we're doing. If there's anything that you want to know, you guys can do that at 480-331-9846. And if there's any topics that you would like us to discuss, because it's been a bit since we've gotten to some heavy topics, just give us a call, leave us a message, or get a hold of us. Whatever you guys want to know, you can get a hold of us and let us know. Yep. And also look out for my new podcast, Fighting for Your Life. The first episode came out recently, a couple days ago, and it's with my dad, who got to tell his story about being the first medalist for the country of Ecuador and leaving to fight for his country and represent his country in the world tournament, and then becoming a kickboxer and a champion kickboxer and moving to the U.S. and all that stuff. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to be able to have him tell his story and, just kind of put it out there. So you guys can find that everywhere. It's on YouTube. Fight Life Pod is where you guys can find that everywhere.
Nice.
So what I was saying before we started the ads was yeah, I think kind of like I don't know if it's kind of like a hack or whatever, because even if you're not trying to work on if there's something that you're maybe avoiding working on, start working on something that you like. It may not have to be the thing that you're avoiding, but start working on something that you do like and get into that, because you're going to want to like, I think it's just a natural progression of stuff. Like people and humans want to get better at stuff. You never want to just kind of stay doing stuff. You just kind of, I don't know. It's just how it is. It's like, well, I can do this. Well, maybe I can do it a little bit better. Right. So once you start doing something and then you find something else that you like, you just have to continuously challenge yourself in things that you like, in things that are good for you. Once you start getting on a roll of doing things, you start looking around at what else do I need to fix around? Because I don't know, it's like a complete, just different shift. Like the example that I'll give is not that I was like, I have a bunch of stuff that I had to work through, but I had gotten to a place recently where I was just kind of complacent, just doing the same thing over and over again, right? With work, with the podcast, and there were places where I could have been pushing myself and stretching and doing more just to get better, right? I was just maintaining. And then I kind of noticed what was happening, and I decided that I wanted to start challenging myself again and getting in better shape and doing better in jiu-jitsu and starting a new podcast and going to school again and all these different things. And by adding them all in and by actually putting it out there in the world, because a lot of times these are thoughts that we just have and you never say anything to anybody. It's different when you say something, because I mean, I don't know why it's different when you say something. For me,
it's accountability.
It is, but you should be able to just fucking say it to yourself and not tell anybody else and still get your shit done. You know what I mean?
If you're David Goggins.
Well, but why do you have to tell? But there is something different. Like people need that, like knowing that you told. And the truth is, most people that you tell will probably forget that you fucking told them that you were going to do this thing in the first place. But there is something about putting it out there. And so when I started noticing that I was falling into this complacency, that's what started happening. I was like, you know what? I'm going to compete in this big tournament. That was last weekend. You know what? I'm going to start looking at classes to go to school. And there's one that starts in October. You know what? My 40th birthday is coming up. And I've been talking, there's this podcast that I've been thinking about for a long time. Let's get started on this podcast. And then this was the very beginning of the year. And then little by little, I've started getting myself on track. And then I fall off. And then I get on. And then time starts getting closer to these dates, like the tournament, my birthday. And I start noticing that as the months are going by, that I've been kind of bullshitting myself still. And these dates are only getting closer and closer. But as they're getting closer, I'm starting to pick it up a little more. I'm starting to notice, like, hey, if you're going to do these things, you really got to start going. So I start working out more. So I start, looking into the podcast and creating things, working on logos and all these things. And pull-ups was one thing that I had it as part of my workout, but I hated doing it. So I kind of slacked off on it. And then I also noticed, I'm like, oh, you're bullshitting. You don't like doing pull-ups, so you never do them. You always kind of skip that part of the workout. So I just kind of forced myself. I'm like, fuck it. From today till your birthday, I'll do 100 pull. It's almost like I'm talking to myself, like putting myself in place.
Punishing yourself. No.
I'm like, now we're going to do 100 pull-ups every single day until... Yeah. Now, all these things, the tournament didn't happen. because of injuries, because of a bunch of things. And that's okay. I will compete in one of the big ones eventually. That goal now has moved on to another spot, maybe later next year. So the next goal of the podcast, I got moving on that. The pull-ups have also kind of changed my body. Like I started seeing the muscles in my stomach. I've never had a six-pack in my life. And I was like, you know what? It'd be kind of cool just to have a six-pack when I'm 40. And I didn't make that goal either because I've also kind of slacked off and let myself eat whatever I feel like eating. But when you have these things, no matter what, you're going to be better for it. Everything that's freaking happened in this past year has all been positive.
Right. Because even though you don't have the six pack, you have a lot of definition within your abdomen and your chest. It's even though you didn't get to where you wanted to be, who you are today changed.
Right.
And you could see the difference in your body image as well.
And also that momentum combined with getting like when the podcast was getting closer and closer, I did feel like, you know, some of the things that you were feeling, like the anxiety is like, fuck, why did I even put it out there that I was going to do this shit? Like, right. You know, but at the end of the day, it's like, I said I was going to fucking do it. And now that the first episode is out, if I feel good. I feel good about what I'm doing. And now I'm like, I can fucking do school. I can do school too. And once you just do, you'll figure out how to do the rest. Because the podcast at first was like, well, how am I going to do this show every week and that show every week? Well, I don't have to do that show every week. Maybe that's too much with school and everything. I got a great idea. I'll just do one a month for till the end of the year. I still make the goal of my podcast coming out. I'll promote it more in between, but I'll just do one a month. That's not that hard. And then maybe in the beginning of next year, once school is over, I can pick it up a little more. But you just don't find a way how. Right? That's just what it is. You find a way how. And this morning I was really thinking about like the podcast and all that. And I'm super excited because what you always hear is that what you want to be doing is something that feels like a hobby. And that would feel like a fucking hobby to me. It's talking to people about fighting and all that. Like that would be a hobby that I would get paid for.
Yeah.
You know? That's why it's exciting. And that's why you have to have your stuff on the side. Your passions that you work on.
I can't remember what I've been reading The Way of Mastery these days.
But it was all started, we were all, you know, starting about like working on your stuff. And the way it led into it was just that when you get on that role of working on just challenging yourself and pushing yourself to do something uncomfortable, something difficult, just keep it going. And then little by little, you start looking around at other things that need to be cleaned up in your life. What am I not? Where can I get better? What is something that I'm avoiding? And then, you know.
And then get on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and passing that down to the kids.
We have had story. 2 sick kids, and I am like, stay away because I have this retreat coming. In 3 weeks?
Yeah. You know what's another good thing is to have overlapping goals. Not like ones that kind of run over each other. Not just one thing that you're just doing. You know, kind of like this thing with my birthday. Right after the birthday, I knew that it's like, okay, now I got this goal done. Now I have school coming up. Now that I've accomplished these, like my birthday came up, I'm in good shape. The podcast came out, that's doing good. It looks good, sounds good. All of that leads, you know, gives me confidence leading into now this Harvard online class.
Yeah. Have you looked into that yet?
No. But next week when I get back to work, I'm going to start looking at registering and see the dates of when it's going to be and all that.
So you haven't looked at the courses to see what they have
I did.
on?
I have one selected. I just know that it starts, I think, at the end of October, something like that.
Nice.
So I still have a little bit of time.
So you are going back to work.
Going back to work. They're making us all go back in person.
How do you feel about that?
I feel good. I mean, it's different. The way I always kind of look at it, I try to find the positive spin on it. When I first started, it was 5 days a week at work. So I've been able to work from home for this long. So I'm just going back in the office.
Yeah.
So no big deal. One thing that I wanted to mention real quick before we go on, I don't know if you had any stuff about my work that you wanted to talk about, but like I was talking about, my birthday just passed, and dude, I got some awesome presents. It was really fun. My mom got me this big box of meat with like meat for barbecuing, which I love to do. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And you got me some jujitsu stuff, and my aunt got me this pair of shoes that I wanted. But you got me a ride in a Corvette that I haven't got yet. But we're going to rent a Corvette, and we're going to take it up to Sedona or take it for a drive somewhere and have lunch somewhere and just kind of spend the day, or maybe go camping, or not camping. You can't go camping in a Corvette. But like maybe go up to Sedona and spend the night at at a place up there. But yeah, that'll be cool. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. You always talk about how you like cars.
Yeah.
And Corvettes. And so I found someone who does it for a living. She rents out Corvettes on Turo. And so
yeah,
I thought that would be a great experience for you.
Yeah. What's up, babe?
What's up with you?
What you got? You got something?
No, I was just looking through.
There was something that I was watching recently that came up, and it has to do with like this need for attention, And I don't know if it was maybe a similar thing. We were talking about like buying a car. Like, why would you need a car or spend so much money on a car or whatever, right? Kind of like what makes you happy. And I was telling you that for me, maybe not. It's not so much the car that makes you happy, but the car is an achievement. Like, I don't know. What do you think about that? Do you know what I'm talking about? Because like, I'm just saying, as a little boy, there is a certain car that I know for anybody that's about my age, they probably saw a poster of growing up, and that is the Lamborghini Countach. Like, there's just in the 80s or whatever, 80s, 90s, you would see that car, just posters of it. And when you're a kid that is into mechanic stuff, like I've been a mechanic my whole life, they really like the way things work and engines and all that. And they appreciate engineering and the beauty of the actual car. It's not like you're just spending money just because you have it. But that's a different story, right?
Yes.
Like, what do you think about those two different things?
I don't know if this is similar, but I can see that, especially for you, right? Because you've you wouldn't have it just for show. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's people that buy things just for show.
Yeah.
And then there's people that buy things because they appreciate them. It's like having a hobby that you truly love. And having, what are you laughing about?
It's like jujitsu. People are like, you guys are gay. What are you doing? It's like, I don't get it. I'm like, I love this stuff.
Right. Yeah. People do things for different reasons. Yesterday, I took Audrey to the store and she was like, Mom, she's like, you really don't like to shop, huh? Like, she's like, you really don't like to shop. And when she said that, I told her, I think I got that out of my system. Like, I'm at a different place today.
Yeah.
Because before kids and before you, I would shop. Like, I was young. I was making good money. I would shop. I would buy what I want to buy. And I would spend hours shopping. Clothes, makeup, shoes. I used to wear the most expensive makeup. And today, those things, those materialistic things just take up space. I told her, I said, when I came back from India, there was a certain way, like there's certain things that changed within me that I wanted, I don't know, just like the way I dress is different than the way I used to dress back then.
Yeah. Right?
Like, so I went and I did some shopping and I bought some clothes, got it out, right? But I don't know. There's something about that materialistic things. And I'm like asking myself, okay, are you being real with yourself? Yeah. Like, are you being real? If you had all this money, if you were wealthy,
that's what I'm
would
saying.
you go shop and throw down? And it would be like, and the answer I received was no. I would buy a flight and I would take a trip and I would go to Turkey or Indonesia, or, you know what I'm saying? I'd rather spend on the experience versus shoes that mean nothing or clothes that are just going to be outdated, get outdated. Like, that's not what's important to me anymore. Before, with the other house, I spent so much money on decor.
Yeah.
And it is something that I like. Like, I'll walk into, Home Goods and I love it. But while I'm like, I'm just different today.
Yeah. But your office and where we're recording right now has a certain feel to it. Some of the things that bring that feel are some of the things that you've bought that are in the room, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of the stuff is from Amazon or eBay or whatever, or Ross, or gifts, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like my Buddha pictures from Marshalls.
So it's not like you can, like, you're just in an empty room and I'm just going to sit here and be like, it's the same thing. Mm-hmm. You feel good when you look good, when you smell good, when you're dressed good, and all that stuff. And I don't know if, like you said, I would rather spend my money on flights or something.
Like, right.
And I get that. If I only had enough money, I would rather travel than spend it on a car. But if I have money for both, and you do, like we've talked about this, like you do take care of, like maybe you feel good with yourself knowing that you do donate and you do make a difference and you help people in the ways that you do, but you still have, like, you're good at what you do and you still have a lot of money. So what is wrong with buying a Rolls Royce?
I didn't say there wasn't anything wrong with it. My heart is in a different place today.
Well, you know what? I guess there probably are people that do all that stuff and never tell anybody because that's just not important. And that is how they see it. Like, I have all this money. What am I going to do? Not spend it? Like, why wouldn't I treat myself to the best things in life? But you don't have to tell everybody about it or rub it in, unless it's maybe, and there's the balance, unless it's like a motivational post. But is it a motivational post? You know?
Am I going to spend $26 on mascara today versus $13? That's what I'm talking about.
Well,
I used to spend $26 on mascara, $32
why?
on,
I mean,
because I could,
I think
because I
just,
can.
I think that's just marketing.
Do you understand though? Because I could, and I did.
Yeah, but I think that.
But what I'm saying today, it's not something like I don't, just.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, but are you being real with yourself? Are you being real with yourself? Like, if you had all this money, if it was a pair of shoes that I really wanted and I had the money, I would buy it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? If I really wanted it.
Yeah. I think there's a difference. Yeah. Because I remember listening to this this podcast a long time ago. They were talking about Paris Hilton. And they were saying that Paris Hilton had a Lexus LFA, which is like a Lexus supercar. Mm-hmm. That's like $370,000. It's freaking insane. Just the way they tune the car, nuts. And they were saying, I don't know Paris Hilton, or I don't know anything about her. But they were saying that she's not like a car person. Mm-hmm. But she knows that it's a cool car and a lot of people want it. And she's got the money for it, so fuck it. She buys the Lexus LFA. And now that's fine. But if you're posting like, ooh, like check out my new, because you're doing it maybe because you want, like, that everybody thinks it's a cool car and they're gonna see you with that car. Whereas if it was somebody that, like me, perfect example, I freaking love cars. Like, I love all that kind of stuff. But my whole life, just because of what we're doing and we're responsible, and like there will be a day when I have a Ferrari in the driveway. That Ferrari will mean more, and not mean more, but there will be, it's a symbol of something, of all the years that we've sacrificed, that I've worked, that I dreamt about having that car. It's a different meaning.
He's talking about having a Ferrari, and here I was having a conversation with him saying, why don't we sell everything and then just go explore and become minimalist?
I said fucking sell everything and let's buy a Ferrari.
No, you didn't.
No, I'm just kidding. It's got 2 seats, me and you.
But that's where I'm at. I'm saying, like, that's where I'm at. You can't, like, take this stuff with you.
No. And that is the truth, is that at the end of the day, it's about the journey, though. Because you're right. I can't take any of that shit with me. At the end of the day, it is all about, because even when you're sitting in the Ferrari enjoying it, the reason that you're enjoying it so much is because you're thinking about what it took to get it and the journey. Mm-hmm. There's that reminds me of this football player, Michael Strahan. He's like he's a older player from before, but he does like the morning shows and stuff like that. And there was a video that I saw of him like riding his childhood bicycle through the studio, and that is the one thing that he has from his childhood that he said he would never get rid of, because he had to work so hard to buy that bike. Like, he spent, I don't know, like cutting grass and doing all this stuff that, like, that bike reminds him of what it takes, like hard work, that it pays off. And, and he's like, that bike took me everywhere, Yeah. So, but even still, part of it is like, that bike isn't worth shit. It's probably a piece of shit compared to other bikes today, but it's about getting on that bike and riding it through the studio. Mm-hmm. And remembering what it took to get that bike.
Right.
And where you've been with it. All the shitty cars that I've had that got me from one place to another, that helped me build, that fucking carried a Honda Accord that had a punching bag in it, dragging stuff from back and forth, that took the kids to math classes, that took us camping, that all these different, and then finally we built something that was able to get that Corvette, or that was able to get, you know, and it means something different.
Right.
But it's the journey.
Right.
But it's not. I want both.
That's the first time I've ever heard you say that.
Well, because you can have both.
Right.
Yeah. Like you can have the trips and you can have the stuff and you can help people. There's a lot of times people think it's like either this or it's that.
Or it could be and if that's what you want.
Yeah.
If that's what you desire. Right? When I meditate and desire, things don't pop up for me anymore.
Yeah.
You know, like things like clothes and shoes. I've done that. I've had that. It's funny because I see my sister, my older sister, who got, you know, pregnant at a young age. And we, you know, you and I didn't get together till I was 30, didn't have kids till I was 31. I got to live.
Yeah.
Like I've got to travel. I've got to explore. I love to have just had a lot of fun, shopped a lot. I did a lot. And back then, because of, you know, the choices, just the different ways that we went about things, she was not able to do that.
Yeah.
And she does today. Her kids are all grown and it's just her and her man. And I see her and I see how that used to be me. You know?
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that she's experiencing that now.
Yeah.
But we're just at totally different ends, right? Like that's what she loves to do.
Yeah.
The other day she sent me a picture of a dresser and she's like, "This would look so good in your living room."
It's like
and
you got to
I
get those things
it,
out of your system, right?
And I looked at it and I'm like, that is nice, but it's not something I want. Yeah. I'll go buy me a plant.
So you got to go through those different phases in your life.
Yeah.
Right?
It's just like those partying, you know, your party days. And the things that you used to do back then don't sound good to you today.
And then maybe after 10 years of owning a Ferrari.
Yeah, that's it.
It's like I've got the memories. I don't need this anymore.
It's like you were saying. You're 40 now. And you had a thought of what's really important. What would you like to spend your last years doing?
Driving a Ferrari.
Right? Like what's important to you? What are your priorities?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And you're just feeling that. I've been feeling that. Because I'm 46. So I've been feeling that for a long time. What are my priorities? I did the hustle bustle chasing success.
Yeah.
Today, it's a little different. There's more purpose behind what it is that I'm doing. The coaching, the retreat. The purpose and the intention behind all of it is to help people find their inner peace, their inner joy and love, and break free from fear, doubt, guilt, shame.
Yeah.
So that they can start living the life that God created them to live.
Yep. Yeah, I think, and like we were saying earlier, the sooner you can do that, the better. You know, because like everything else, if you can start figuring this stuff out in your 20s, in your 30s,
right,
then shit, you got 20, 30 years of, living towards your purpose and what you're supposed to be doing and a fulfilling life instead of waiting till you're 40 and 50.
I wish I would have had someone like me in my life in my 20s, in my 30s.
Yeah. Yep.
To help me see things more clearly. But it is what it is.
Do the best right now with what we've got.
And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because I wish I would have had someone like me in my life, younger. But the best time to start is now.
Yep. Hey, you got a retreat coming up.
Yes.
Got a couple spots left. If any of you guys are interested, make sure you guys hit us up. Any way that you guys can hit us up, you guys can send us a message on our podcast. You can hit us up on any of our social media. However you can get a hold of us, personal Facebooks, Instagrams, whatever, and we'll get you squared away for that retreat. There's only a couple spots left. Everything is pretty much, I think we're picking up the last couple things, and it's in a few weeks. So it's exciting. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I've been seeing all the stuff that you and your partners have been working on for this retreat, and it's going to be a blast.
Yes.
So with that, thank you guys for being with us.
Thank you guys for your love. Thank you for your support. And thank you for watching Opposites Attract podcast.
Where we get better
together. Bye.